Hello everyone, welcome to Motivation Medicos. My name is Pulkit Gupta and in this video we are going to study about the parasympathetic nervous system. In our last video I have already talked about the basics of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system of the ANS. So in this we are starting with the parasympathetic nervous system. So without wasting time, let's get started. So first of all, as you know, the parasympathetic nervous system is of craniosacral outflow, and the cranial nerves involved is 3, 7, 9 and 10, and the sacral nerves are S2, S3, S4. Now the hero of this movie is the acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is the main neurotransmitter. Basically it is both preganglionic as well as the postganglionic neurotransmitter is the acetylcholine. So we need to study a little bit about the acetylcholine, how it is formed in the neuron. So suppose this is our neuron, the preganglionic, and this is our postganglionic. So this choline goes inside the neuron. So this process is the uptake of choline. This is a rate limiting step. RL I am writing, means it is a rate limiting step. Now this choline convert into the acetylcholine by adding with the acetyl group, binding with the acetyl group. Now this acetyl goes inside the vesicle and then release into the synapse. And now in the synapse, after in the synapse, it's going to bind with the on the receptors, on the postganglionic as well as on the preganglionic receptors. Now we have to study some drugs which are going to block these steps. So let's start with the drugs. Basically pharmacology is all about the drugs. So first one is uptake of choline. This is a rate limiting step, I already told you. So over this position there is a one drug with the name called hemicolinium. So you can remember this name by hemicolinium. Hemi means half choline is basically forming, means not full choline is forming. So you can remember the choline uptake is stopped by the hemicolinium. The second one is at this position, means the conversion of acetylcholine going into the vesicle. So the name of drug is the vesamicol. So you can remember with vesicle choline. So vesicle choline you can remember by vesacholine. So this is the second drug. Now the third drug, which is the secreting the acetylcholine at this position, the third drug is the botulinum toxin. This is the third drug. And the fourth drug, basically you need to understand this acetylcholine cannot be present in the synapse all the time. It converts acetylcholine esterase with the help of it gets breakdown. So we can stop this process of the drug by a drug called physostigmine. So these four drugs we can remember very easily. The first one is the hemicolinium, the vesamicol, botulinum toxin, and the physostigmine, which are involved with stopping the secretion of the acetylcholine itself. Now about the cholinergic receptors, let's study. So basically this acetylcholine is not going to be just going to stay. We have to basically stop the release of the acetylcholine. Basically it's going to bind. So this cholinergic, it binds to the cholinergic receptors. There are two types of cholinergic receptors. The first one is the muscarinic and muscarinic. Part of two types, NN and NM. And between the nerve and nerve there are ganglia, and between nerve and muscle is between the neuromuscular junction. This is one quality of the NM receptor, that it is work on optimum stimulation. Means you cannot if you give more stimulation it won't work, if you give less stimulation it won't work, it will work only at optimal stimulation. Now the muscarinic receptor, there are three types, M1, M2 and M3. So M1, M2 and M3, now where M1 is located, it is located in the stomach, and M2 in the heart, and M3 in the all other places. So you can remember, like first of all what we do, we when we are hungry we eat food, then we want to be in a relationship. Everybody at this young age want to be in relationship, so they put their heart, and then we do all other things. So we first of all we eat food, so about the stomach, M1 is present in stomach. M2, then we basically go and fall in love, so that we use our heart. And third one is all other places like the bronchus, GIT, bladder and the pupil. Now the bronchus, you know what parasympathetic do, it increase the constriction, that is bronchoconstriction. In the GIT, basically it increase constriction, basically motility, so it will cause constipation. The third one is bladder, it will increase urinary outflow by the contraction of the bladder, and in the gland it will increase secretion, and the pupil it will cause contraction of the pupil, that is causing meiosis. Now after this, let's study about the drugs. There are two types, parasympathomimetic and parasympatholytics. Now the word saying mimetics means it is mimicking. What it is mimicking? It is working like just like the parasympathetic nervous system, like acetylcholine what is doing. So the drugs which are working like acetylcholine. So and the other one is a parasympatholytic which is going to break down. So let's start with the parasympathomimetic drugs. So it will be a work like two type, that is directly and indirectly. So these basically directly drugs basically we're going to convert into, basically they are work like acetylcholine, or you can say drugs like bethanechol, carbachol, methacholine and pilocarpine. These are the four drugs. Now this bethanechol basically starts with the B word, so basically it's going to work on bladder. So in bladder it will going to cause contraction, in which case it will going to do in case of atonic bladder, cause the contraction of the bladder, increase the urinary outflow in atonic bladder. Now the methanechol, it starts with the M, so it work in the myocardium. In myocardium, parasympathetic, it will decrease the heart rate and the contraction. Now the other one is pilocarpine, it starts with P, going to work in the pupil, cause meiosis, in which case meiosis is going to be done in the glaucoma, and in the basically in the heart it works in the case of tachycardia. So these are about the directly acting. Now let's talk about the indirectly acting. See, these indirectly acting drugs, basically what it do, it basically inhibit the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. As I have told you, this acetylcholine esterase enzyme is the one which breaks the acetylcholine in the synapse. So we inhibit this enzyme, acetylcholine level will be going to increase. So that's why we are calling it indirectly, not directly it is working, it is indirectly increasing the acetylcholine. So let's see indirectly. Now this is indirectly, acetylcholine drugs are of two types, reversible and irreversible. Now reversibly there are also two types, that is lipid soluble and water soluble. See, they are easy. You think it is basically so much confusing? No, they are very easy. Indirectly basically it is reversible and irreversible. Now reversible, see, we have lipid soluble and water soluble. So lipid soluble, you have to just remember the name, that is physostigmine, and water soluble it is neostigmine. Let's talk about the physostigmine. See, physostigmine works in two conditions, basically two clinical conditions. One is atropine poisoning and the other one is Alzheimer's disease. So let's talk first about the physostigmine. What physostigmine do in case of atropine poisoning? You need to understand this atropine is a muscarinic blocker. It will block all the muscarinic receptors. So what will happen, that acetylcholine will be not able to bind to the muscarinic receptors. So what we do, we want to increase acetylcholine. So that's why we give physostigmine. This physostigmine going to inhibit the acetylcholine esterase. So that's why we give. So basically, physostigmine is a drug of choice in atropine poisoning. It will go 50% to the brain and 50% outside. 50% in the brain and 50% to the outside. While in the second condition is Alzheimer's disease. In this, due to decreasing acetylcholine in the brain, there is a region in the brain, that is basal nucleus of Menard, which is responsible for memory. This memory decrease, basically this region decreases the, basically calling it dementia, loss of memory due to decrease in acetylcholine. Now this acetylcholine, we want to increase acetylcholine, so that's why we give physostigmine. But there is one side effect in this case, if we give physostigmine in case of Alzheimer's disease, that 50% goes to brain, that's we want, that's good. But this 50% goes outside. We don't want this. That's why this drug of choice which we give nowadays in Alzheimer's disease is the, you can remember it by DRG, that is donepezil, rivastigmine and galantamine. These three drugs are nowadays given. Basically these drugs are lipid soluble, they goes maximum, basically we say 99% they goes to the brain. That's what we want, that we want increased acetylcholine in the brain only, we don't want in the outside. because if it goes outside it will increase, then it will cause constipation, it may cause bronchoconstriction. We don't want those things. So these drugs are made only basically which goes to the brain. Now after this, let's study about the neostigmine. Neostigmine is the water soluble drug. It's a water soluble drug. We already talked, basically we need to talk about. So this neostigmine, it works in 5 conditions. The first one is myasthenia gravis. What happened in myasthenia gravis? These antibodies produced against the NM receptors, they bind to that receptors and cause muscle weakness, because muscle will not able to contract, as I have already NM between the nerve and muscle. Between the nerve and muscle, these receptors are basically involved. So if these receptors get blocked, then there will be weakness in the muscle. So we want more acetylcholine, so that's why we give neostigmine. There is one more drug called pyridostigmine. It's a long acting drug which we also use in this case of myasthenia gravis. Actually we don't give neostigmine alone, we give with the atropine. Why? Because as it's this neostigmine stimulate both the nicotinic as well as muscarinic receptors, but we don't want this muscarinic receptors stimulation, so we give atropine. As you know, it blocks the muscarinic receptors. So there may question may come in your exam like what is the treatment for the myasthenia gravis? So you have to say neostigmine, not the neostigmine plus atropine, because atropine prevents the side effect. It is not the treatment. The second thing is cobra bite. In cobra bite, what happened in this also, the poison of the cobra, it blocks the NM receptors. So that's why we give acetyl neostigmine, that will increase the acetylcholine, so more acetylcholine can bind to the NM receptors. The third one is the reversal of NM blocker. In case of basically surgery, basically there's a relaxation of the muscles due to the NM blocker. We give basically we give drugs like pancuronium. This pancuronium what do basically we give in for the relaxation, but sometimes they are long acting, so that's why we give now after some time, that is neostigmine for the contraction of the like urinary bladder, if there is urinary retention, so we give for the contraction of that. The fourth one is the post-operative paralytic ileus. Sometime after the operation there is a paralysis in the ileum, so to for the stimulation of the ileum or for the motility we give neostigmine. And similarly in the post-operative urinary retention, this urinary bladder does not able to get stimulated, so that's why we give neostigmine, so it will increase acetylcholine and involve in contraction of the urinary bladder and urinary able to outflow from the urine. Now after the talking about these reversible acetylcholine inhibitors, let's talk about the irreversible acetylcholine inhibitors. These irreversible acetylcholine inhibitors are the basically malathion, ecothiopate. Basically these two are the organophosphate. They are organophosphates. These organophosphates basically what they do, they irreversibly inhibit these blockers. So what will happen? It will lead to increased acetylcholine level and causing the poisoning. So we don't want this poisoning. So for that, in case of organophosphate and carbamate poisoning, what we do? We give atropine. See, this atropine is the drug of choice in case of organophosphate and carbamate poisoning. This is very important. Now there is one more thing we can do, that is acetylcholine ester reactivators. The reactivators. So if we reactivate this enzyme, then it will able to break down the acetylcholine. So the enzyme name is oximes. Oximes we give for the reactivators, but these oximes are only given in a case of organophosphate, not in case of carbamates. So you have to remember the drug of choice in case of organophosphate and carbamate poisoning is the atropine, not the oxime. So that's it for this video. If you like it, please like, share, subscribe. And guys, in the next video we are going to study about the parasympathetics and much more fun we are going to do. Thank you guys.